All right, well, we are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to have our class ready to build, but let's start with the word of prayer. Lord, we thank you so much again for this class and for the parents that are here that are really wanting to invest in their kids, wherever they're on the younger side or those that may be adult children or really close to graduation. We just pray that you'll bless these parents with the wisdom that they need to help their teens navigate through some very difficult subjects, and then also just do so with love and grace, knowing that there's so many temptations that are out there, and we're just trying to do our best to educate these teens to learn from our mistakes, and also to just depend on you in all things. So give us those words to speak and the wisdom to speak it with. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. Well, so this is the last class. Ready to Build is the last one. So I really appreciate you guys staying with me through it all and giving some really good feedback. I've adjusted just slightly my class, from what we maybe talked about on Wednesday to the following Sunday. I was like, ooh, I really like that comment from that parent. I'm gonna change this up. So I really appreciate you guys not only being here but contributing to this as well. And this whole series we've been looking at the idea of the process of becoming the person that the person you're looking for is looking for. That's kind of been our overarching theme. And today we're gonna just tie a bow on all of those classes with one last central idea, and that is to prepare. I want, and I know that you do as well, these teens to have an amazing, no drama, boring marriage. That's what we want for these teens. And so to do that, to achieve that, we want to take some time to encourage these teens to prepare, to commit, to become the version of yourself, to have an amazing, no drama filled marriage. So the way that we do that, as I've identified, I know that there's plenty more, and there's other ways that we can word this. But the way that we're going to talk about some things tonight is these 5 items. We're going to try and hit them pretty quickly, but kind of go through them in a good, encouraging way. So address your past, break bad habits, set some standards, make good money choices, and go to church. And so here's the good news that I'm going to be telling the teens, and you know it as well, is that as single teens, time is on their side whenever we're talking about preparing to commit to all of this. You have time on your side. In fact, for these teens, they'll never have more time than what they have now. But the bad news is they're also not going to be as motivated as what they should be. They're never going to be nearly as motivated now as what they will be in the future. So what we're going to try and do is just boost that motivation up a little bit and try and encourage them, trying to open their eyes to this idea that, as bad marriages go, that's whenever somebody really gets inspired to try and do these 5 things, to try and make these changes, to prepare, to commit to being the best version of themselves. But we want to try and help them do that now. So we're going to start off with this first passage. It's Proverbs 14, verse 8. Can somebody read that for us, please?
The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception.
All right. Thank you very much. So, a prudent person understands the fact that what happens today affects tomorrow. Like we said in the very, very first week, the present will become your past, which will be present in your future. Kind of a weird way to say all that, but if you're going this direction, chances are I'm going to end up over there unless something changes, right? So we've got to recognize that we need to be future-oriented people, understanding where we're going and why we're headed that way, and if we need to make some adjustments, we can. But this passage is telling us that. It's telling us to be future-oriented people. It's telling us to be a person who plans ahead of what is coming up. And so, again, that list that we looked at, the first thing that you need to do to commit to prepare is address the past. Now, with this age, there may be something to work with. There may not be as much to work with. It really depends on each person. But if your past has some dysfunction in it, which a lot of families do, then there might be some things that you need to address to make sure that your past doesn't become your future. If there's unresolved relationships, like you need to forgive someone or you need to ask for forgiveness from someone, then now's the time to resolve these things before they become bigger issues as these 13, 14, 15, 18-year-olds become a little bit, enter into their real adult life. So finding the cause of the issues that you're carrying with you from the past and address them. It's so important so that they don't rear their ugly heads in their future relationships. So try and address your past. Now, here's my question for you guys. I'm going to ask the teens this as well. What examples of issues that I'm talking about here, what are some examples of issues that you can think of, someone that might deal with from their past that has the potential to hurt their future relationships?
One of the big ones is growing up in a single parent household. That's a huge disadvantage for a child. Right? Whether it's a boy or girl, it doesn't matter. It's important to have both parents in their lives.
Absolutely. So, if we have a teen that kind of fits in that mold, then, how are you going to address that? How are you going to try and be proactive? That's a really mature set of, thoughts that they really need to have, but hopefully we can help guide them that, hey, if dad's not in the home, mom's not in the home, then as a church family, let's try and find somebody that can fit that role. Okay. What else? Yes, sir.
How to communicate with people that you disagree with, or temper, or issues, etc.
Yeah. If temper runs in the family, that's what a lot of times you'll hear. Like, oh well, my dad, he's just that way. No. That's something that needs to be addressed, and that's something that you need to make sure that you don't follow in the footsteps that says, okay, well, that's just how my dad was, so I'm going to have the temper too. Like, no, address that now, fix it now, so it doesn't become your future. Exactly. Yep. A lot of problems that can come from that. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. And again, we're going to talk about the breaking your own bad habits, but I think what Sarah's talking about right there is seeing bad habits from others, from your family, and saying, okay, I grew up with my mom with that kind of language, and I want to make sure that I address that I recognize this is not the way that I need to live my life. I want to fix that and at least set it in on my own mind, what I should and should not be doing. But yeah, we're going to get to breaking our own bad habits in a little bit. Okay, so yeah, actually, let's just transition right into that. Let's Sarah, do a nice transition. That the second one is to commit to prepare to break those bad habits. Every single Saturday, people are getting married all over the country. Saturday is by far the most popular day of the week to get married, where she wears this beautiful dress and just looks as beautiful as ever. He gets dressed up wearing a tuxedo, looks as handsome as he's ever looked, and they spend weeks and months and thousands of dollars for this day. They join hands, they say vows, they exchange rings, and make promises that they have every intention of keeping, but many times they've done very, very little to prepare to keep those promises. They've done little to no preparation to keep that. And they mean well whenever they make these vows, whenever they make these promises. They have great intentions, but they make vows that they won't be able to honor with their actions. And what ends up happening is that after some time, the marriage gets going, we start to see some of these problems, some of those bad habits that existed whenever you were single, now all of a sudden, now they're existing in married life. We talked about that, I think, the very, very first week. But when that happens, now blame starts to set in. Blame starts to get passed around. Well, you should have done that. I was doing this. You shouldn't have used you. Promises are no substitution for preparation. And so the best thing to do is to take the time that you have, since our teens have that time right now, to break these bad habits so that they do not become in existence with their marriage. When you fall in love, You'll think that your ability to commit to the promises will overcome your lack of preparation, right? Does that make sense? Like, oh, you know what? I'm not prepared for it, but the love is going to carry us through. It'll be okay. We're gonna be all right. And you're going to convince yourself that you'll be able to break those bad habits the moment that you get married. Even worse is that you can allow the other person to convince you that their track record is, that's irrelevant. You don't need to worry about that because I'm going to fix it. Whenever we get married, I'm going to fix it. It's all going to be good. And that actually doesn't happen. The truth is, falling in love will not break you of those bad habits. If you drink too much now, you're going to drink too much then. If you have a spending problem now, you're going to have a spending problem then. If you hope to give yourself fully to someone in the future, now is the time to end your relationships with substances and activities that own a piece of you. So, my question now to you guys is, when you find someone, and remember, I'm building this more for the teens than I am for you, but I'm curious as to what your answers will be here as well. When you find someone to say "I do" to you, how can you know if they're capable of keeping those vows?
You're reading out the same rule book.
Okay.
I mean, if you're marrying a non-Christian or something like that, you're not reading out the same rule book. You're not committed to the same. So I'm just saying, first and foremost, don't marry a non-Christian.
Yep, that's a very good point. I mean, you have this in that way. If you're marrying somebody who's not a Christian and you are, all of a sudden now, you have a different standard of morals. You have a different standard of what is expected. So yeah, okay.
That's why you don't jump in and get married in 90 days or whatever that show is. You date and you look for things, and hopefully you're a little picky and things of that nature. People get kind of excited that I want to just get married, I want to find the one, and I want to be in a relationship, and kind of overlook some warning signs. So looking at those warning signs, talking about those warning signs, see if those warning signs can be fixed, or if it's a deal breaker, being okay to let loose, etc.
Yeah. So that amount of time gives you an opportunity to see what their track record really is. It's a good indicator of what kind of promises and commitments that they can and cannot keep. Okay, so definitely that time is really important. Yes, ma'am.
Watching their relationships with their friends, but especially with their family. How do they treat their sister? How do they treat their brother? It's probably how they're going to treat you. If they treat their sister, very poorly, it's probably the way they're going to treat you. And if they just disrespect their mom and just abuse her verbally, they're going to treat you that way too. They'll talk to you just like they talk to their mom.
And even if it's not directly to their face, but if they're talking about their mom in such a disrespectful way, that also can help, give you a peek behind the curtain.
Really observant of how they treat
Yes. Be observant, be diligent, looking around for those, I don't want to always be negative, but those red flags, but also those, I guess you call them green flags. Like, what are some things that you do want to see? It's like, oh man, now I'm seeing him do this. Now I'm seeing her do this. That's awesome. That's what we're looking for. That kind of tells me, ooh, you know what? Maybe we do kind of have maybe similar belief systems like Todd was talking about just a moment ago. Yeah. So, guys, now is the time to break the habit of looking at women as commodities. Now is the time to edit your playlist and reevaluate your watch list and filter your internet usage. Ladies, now is the time to stop allowing yourself to be treated like commodities. Like you were just talking about, I think it was Brian that said it. Develop a high intolerance for anything but respect. Be picky. You may hate me for saying this. I'm going to tell the teen girls this. They hate me for saying this, but now is the time to stop dressing like a commodity. And I think you actually said it, Raz, last week that a fisherman determines what he's going to catch by the bait that he chooses. If you fish for a boy using your body as bait, you're only going to find boys who are interested in your body. If you think men are all the same, maybe it's because all you've done is date similar type of men. Not all men are that way. But also, while the man of your dreams is busy cleaning out his playlist, you may need to start cleaning out your closet. So some bad habits that we need to try to avoid. It's not an exhaustive list by any stretch, but that there's plenty of of things out there that we need to identify and improve on while we have the time to do it, and we're not on the brink of marriage or going through marital problems later. So number 3 on the list is to commit to prepare to set some standards. Give some serious thought to what you want your future relationships to look like regarding sexual involvement. A lack of self-control before marriage is often a foreshadowing of what happens after the wedding dress is all boxed up. People who are sexually active before marriage are far more likely to be sexually unfaithful during marriage. And that includes those who commit, and I put that in air quotes, those of you listening on, they commit to living together. That's not a committed relationship. That's not, if it's not a marriage, that doesn't count. That's not what we're looking for. All of those, whether, just marriage, sex outside of marriage, whether they're living together or not, typically ends really, really badly, and the divorce rate is much higher than those who wait until they get married and wait before they move in until marriage. The old youth group adage, how far is too far? Right? That's what a lot of us teens, we always wanted to ask ourselves whenever we're in the relationships and our teenagers, well, how far is too far? Well, let's look at that. To help you decide that, I want to ask these teens 3 questions that's going to help you go through that. If your future love is out there somewhere wrestling with the same question, how far is too far? How would you want him or her to answer it? The answer to that question can tell you the answer of your own question. What level of physical involvement would lead you to lie about your past because of the shame that you take on? That's going to help you answer your question, how far is too far? And everybody has a story. What is your story? What do you want your story to tell? You want it to be something that includes, sex outside of marriage? Do you want to kind of welcome in those problems? Or do you want it to be one of those dream stories that you really you'd love to tell? As you set your standards, be specific. Literally write them down. What are the standards that you're expecting of yourself and of those that you date? And whenever you begin to date someone, go ahead and share those standards with an accountability partner. Say, hey, this is what I am wanting to do in my relationship. Can you make sure that you ask me, usually whenever I'm least expecting it, and make sure that I'm being held to this standard? So let's continue on and go Proverbs 14, verse 15. Can somebody read that for us, please?
A simple man believes anything, but a prudent man gives thought to his steps.
So very, very similar to the original passage that we read, but you can be convinced of anything whenever you're in love, right? Not being in love brings you clarity of mind to see those red flags that we were talking about more easily. Because whenever you're in love, oh, that's not a red flag. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. No big deal. But I'm very curious to know from the teen's perspective, and yours as well. Oops, I need to show that. There it is. What practical advice? Because we're taking the love out of it. Now you have clarity of mind. Because you're not the one that's in love, but your friend is. So what practical advice would you be giving your friend who is dating someone to help them see clearly through that blinding light that is love?
I think advice like this should be given to someone before they fall in love, just so they can know some of those blinders that love sometimes tends to apply onto people. And whether it could be a friend or it could be your own kids. We have a term called puppy love.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we want to let them know, like, hey, there's this thing called puppy love. And, you can say, we have dogs at the house, right? You can tell Marshmallow or Kalal, that's their name.
Yeah.
Inside the house. You can tell them the most nastiest, grossest, meanest things on planet Earth imaginable. And they'll come up to you running and happy, jumping and licking at your feet and all that. That's puppy love. Right? It's unconditional, no matter what you do, what you say, what you don't want to have those blinders, right, on you. You want to be able to think things through and see things clearly, and I think it's beneficial to let them know ahead of time, hey, this exists. So in case they do fall for that, hey, remember what I told you that one time about? And you're not seeing these red flags going
Right.
on? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do remember you saying that. But as opposed to, that's not true. That's not what's going on. No.
Right. Yeah. You're just enamored by her or enamored by him, and I'm just not seeing it because you're just victim to that puppy love. I like
Daddy, I love him.
it. Exactly. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
You're typically going to get kind of their best side when you're dating because they're trying to appeal to you. So if you remember, things that's going to kind of wear off, and they're going to kind of settle into maybe who they really are. So again, if you kind of see some of those indicators, okay, magnify that by 10. Like, what do you think that might look like?
Right. Yeah. The first, however amount of time you want to kind of put on it, that the first little thing, man, you're getting the best version of this guy or the best version of this girl. So, and then it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, hey, let's allow some time to pass, because it's going to be a little bit harder for those negatives to stay hidden, and you have more honest conversations about things. Okay. So again, I'm very curious to see what the teens are going to say with this question. But the fourth one on my list is a quick one, partially because not too long ago we went through our own in the teen class, like financial things. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but to commit to prepare to make good money choices. The number one source of conflict is money. Financial pressure can suck the romance right out of that relationship. And the primary source of financial pressure is debt. As Dave Ramsey and Steve Diggs would say, debt is dumb. Stay away from credit cards, car loans, buying stuff with money that you don't have to impress people that you don't even like. You don't want your future spouse to be relying on you to bail them out because of the bad money decisions that they made. Well, you don't make the bad money decisions and have the hope that your future spouse is going to bail you out. Make those wise money decisions. It's going to help keep that relationship much healthier from the very get-go. Number 5 is on my list is an obvious one for us, but go to church. I said it during the very first week that we did this, and I'll say it again. If you go to the right places, you're going to meet the right people. And there's a lot of truth to that. Not only can you find good people there, but this is also going to help you stay focused on becoming the best version of yourself while you look for your future spouse. So while you go to church, don't just be a bump on a log. Don't just be a pew filler. Volunteer. Get involved in ministries. And also be active in terms of going to classes. Apply the things that we talk about in classes. Apply the things that you hear in sermons. This is a great place for renewing your mind and gaining that moral clarity that we were talking about earlier. Maybe during this time, you need to, again, forgive someone because there's a conflict that's gone on in your life. Maybe there's somebody who's waiting for you to ask for forgiveness. Well, all of this is going to be encouraging to you as you stay active in your church. And on the flip side, avoid the places that don't have the type of people that you want for a future spouse. So what would those places be? Where would be if we say, hey, church is a good place to go and find good people there, good potential spouses there, where's some places you don't want to go? Bar. Kappa Sig House. That's very specific. Portales, some Avenue K, Portales, New Mexico. 88. Okay. Right. Bars, clubs, and frat houses. All right. That's good. Yeah. So, I don't know what else is out there. You guys took my answer, so there you go. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Casinos, which are gaining popularity. So these are the 5 things that I wanted to present to the teens. But then also, I also wanted to, I recognize that as we've gone through this series, we've talked a lot of, big picture stuff surrounding preparing you for the future 5 to 10 years down the road, which is important for them to do. And I'm not going to go back on what I say. They have plenty of time to do it, and we want to encourage them to do that. But there's also that immediacy that the teens are going to be wanting. So let's try and talk about that as well, just for a few moments. To accomplish the idea of trying to give a couple pieces of practical advice for teen dating now, I want to ask them a series of questions for them to consider. So that very first question is, well, when should we date? When is the time to date? And my immediate answer is, what do I have here? First, you got to talk to your parents. That's not my question to answer. You need to talk to your parents and follow their instructions. Remember how many times we've looked at different passages that talk about the value and the importance on obeying your parents, submitting to their authority, that kind of stuff. We talked about it last week as well. Now, if you set an age, right? I mean, if your parents set an age and you submit to that as a minimum age as a sign of love and respect for God, after that, well then, I mean, because you have teens that are dating at 14 years old, 15 years old. It happens. So my question to those teens would be, what's the purpose of dating in general? Why are you dating? And I want to get an answer from them. And I'm going to tell them, like, hey, you know what? You can answer the question right now, or you can just sit there in silence and just kind of think on it. But what's the purpose of dating? And get just a straightforward answer, because I'm willing to bet that there's going to be somebody that's going to speak up. Okay. When do you realistically plan on getting married? Because if you're 15, and if the answer of, well, the reason why we date is to try and maybe find our future spouse, okay, when do you realistically plan on getting married? You plan on getting married at 16 or 17? What are we doing here? Okay, well then, if it's 22, 24, 26, then what's the purpose of dating as a teen? What do you get? I want them to go through the thought process, and maybe on a one-on-one conversation, which I've done this conversation in a one-on-one capacity with the teens before, and it usually will go really well. So I maybe would encourage you to have this conversation with your teens in that capacity. Whenever you're kind of going through the logic of these three questions, it kind of comes to a pretty clear conclusion that, you know what is the value of doing this very serious one-on-one dating type scene whenever you're 16 years old? What do you gain from that? I don't know. Yeah, you gain trouble, right? Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Just right here in Phoenix, I think it was a few months ago. Let's see, a senior girl. I think you guys might have seen it on the news.
Yep.
She was dating. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
She was dating this guy. She broke up with him. He was obviously unstable. She was living. She only had her mother in the house. He broke into the house. He murdered her. He tried to murder her mother, but the gun stuck.
Yeah, it didn't charge. Yeah, or it didn't discharge me. Yeah.
And he murdered.
Yeah.
And same thing happened to my daughter. She was at Harding University. She started dating this guy. Wasn't too picky. When she broke up with the guy, he went after her. He brought a knife on campus. And luckily somebody was there to protect her. But that guy got roughed up by this person. And the person was arrested, went to jail.
Yeah.
And Harding did not protect them. And more, you're seeing that colleges cannot protect their daughters. They cannot. They will not protect them. You'll see a lot of girls getting assaulted.
Yeah. So we want to definitely help them, learn to do this, wisely and safely, and be prepared when the time is right. And that doesn't always, make the world 100% safe place, but it definitely can help avoid some things. And even, not anywhere near as serious as that, but just, kind of the trouble that it invites in a one-on-one dating scene. All of a sudden now you've got that drama, of the relationship. Now you've got, the stress of like, well, I'm going to try and impress, and what if I take this girl to a restaurant that she doesn't like? And all this like really, honestly, stupid stuff. But they welcome those kind of dramas. They welcome those kind of problems. for me, I'm going to encourage the teens, and I hope that this is okay with you parents. I highly recommend these things I kind of call group dates. That it's not really even a date at all, but it definitely provides them an opportunity. You get 4, 5, 6, whatever number of kids together, mixed gender, go watch a movie, go play mini golf, go play laser tag, stuff like that. Go out to Taco Bell or something, Taco Bell / KFC whenever I was growing up. And what ends up happening is that whenever you're in those groups, naturally what ends up happening is that you're not going to all have one big conversation all the time. Many conversations are going to split up, and then lo and behold, you get a guy and a girl that are having a conversation, and then you're learning, because this is the other answer that I'll get about what's the purpose of dating and teen dating. Well, I want to gain experience. I want to gain experience on how to, be a boyfriend or be a girlfriend, or, what is it like to be in a relationship? You can do that here. You can absolutely do that here, where you learn, oh, I said something stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Or, oh, hey, I did that and she liked it, I'm going to do that more, because flirting still exists in group dates. But it's a whole lot safer. It's safer with what Rad's talking about, because now you have, power in numbers. But then also, it's safer because you don't have that stress. You don't have the physical temptations of a dating one-on-one relationship. You're not putting yourself in compromising situations where you may do something, that you'll later regret sexually. So I want to encourage these teens to at least consider that. That's a good way to achieve some positive things, but in a much safer way in a lot of different ways. So if you find yourself, here's the other thing, when to date. If you do find yourself in your late teens, right, 17, 18, 19, parents are okay dating, with you dating, find someone to be friends with first before you get romantically involved. If you do that, you're going to be far more likely to have a good experience than if you rush into a romantic relationship. And remember, you have plenty of time on your hands. There's no reason to rush things. Trust that God's timing is going to be set up perfectly for you, for the person that you need to spend the rest of your life with. So that's how I'm going to conclude the class on Sunday. Appreciate you guys' comments, and I want to actually ask you guys a bonus question, just with the last couple minutes that we have. We all know that you guys are doing your best to try and raise your kids as best you can, and whenever you give them advice, there's plenty of times whenever you don't know if that really hit home and that resonated with them, or if that went in one ear and out the other. And one of the things that I see as my role is to partner with you guys. And there's been plenty of times where I remember my youth minister said something and it really hit home. And then I found out, oh, my parents said that 2 weeks ago. And it just makes more sense if it comes sometimes from a different voice. So I want to give you guys opportunity. And there's been other questions I've asked you tonight that kind of go to this, but I want to just give you one last chance here. What's some advice that you want your teen to hear from another voice to help reinforce what you're telling them at home?
I would say the part that you said about talk to your parents. Is something that I think even us as parents should be open to it and ready to hear our kids talk about, oh, there's something. I know there's, at least I can speak from my experience, having that reaction. Saying, oh, I think I have a friend that's a guy. Oh, how dare you have that? No, there's none of that. So, be prepared for that. Letting the team know that.
Mm-hmm.
They have the best interest for you, so they're not going to mislead you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to give you the best.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So just continue to point back to the parents. I like it. Yes, sir.
Pray about it, because God's in charge of who you cross paths with. I believe, and pray for God to send you. I prayed from a young age that God please send me someone who I can be happy with, and one that will be good for me. And I nailed it. So
there you go. Yep.
He gave him all the credit in the world for that.
There you go. Yeah. Continue prayer life. Don't be afraid. Don't put all the pressure on yourself of I got to find her. I got to find her. No.
That specific prayer.
Right.
Happy with and good for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Yep. And God provide. It's not on you to necessarily go and find her or him. God's going to be the one. So you put your trust in him. Like it. Okay. Anything else? Is it?
Make good friends. and listen to those friends because they're trying to do the best for you.
Mhm.
Listen to your parents. They want the best for you. Probably seems like they're nagging at you all the time. They want the best for you. That's why they're saying the way that so listen to other people. When you start hearing it from what your parents are saying about a person, and your friends start saying the same thing,
It's
listen to them.
maybe something worth.
Sometimes all we're thinking is, am I pleasing this person? Do I like this person? They don't know what they're talking about. We get trapped like that puppy love thing that we're talking about.
Mhm.
And then the financial thing you kind of went through fast, but the thing I was thinking of was, obviously it's a red flag if your significant other is constantly asking you for money, but also on the flip side, if they're constantly spending and just indulging you with everything, that's also a red flag. Right?
Yes.
They're trying to impress you, but at what cost?
Right. Yeah. If every single date that you go on is just $400 or $500 date, it's like, okay, there's some overspending habits that are going on there.
Legal place.
Yes. Yeah. Either you're going into debt, or there's going to be somebody else coming after us in a little bit. Yes, ma'am.
And unfortunately, a lot of parents go into it unprepared. Not this anybody in this room. They're like, "Oh, you like somebody in 5th grade? Oh, he's dating her or whatever." They just like think of it as a game or something fun to watch your child go through. Somebody once said in one of these books for the kids, says, think of dating as actually you're interviewing a spouse.
Yeah.
You're somebody that you're really going to marry one day. If they're not that person you're going to marry, why are you dating?
Right.
For fun? Why?
No. Yeah, because that was a lot of problems, and it's not a game, is what you're talking about. And so many times you see, sadly, on TV, they've turned it into a game. There's entire TV shows based off of dating. It is a game, but it's not. And so that's absolutely a good lesson to teach them. Yes, ma'am.
Just going along with that, call me old fashioned, but I don't even like the term dating because of what the world has
The
done.
connotation that it's
I mean, why not call it courting like it used to, because it does sound like a game to the teens. And if you even use that language, I don't know, I don't like that word. So
All right. Yeah. So courting instead of dating, it helps. I mean, words matter. We've talked about that earlier in the series. Yeah. Also, yeah. I'm going on my 15th interview. It's getting really serious. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, let's say a prayer and then we'll close out, because it is a couple minutes over, and really appreciate you not only for tonight, but then throughout the entire series. And I hope it's been a blessing to you and your kids. So if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know, because I want to be a partner with you in any way that I can. So let's pray. Lord, again, we thank you so much for this conversation, for the dialogue that's gone on, and how it has prepared me for Sunday, and how we can do the best that we can to help these teens take this as serious as you have really called it to be. Not the 21st century dating scene, but just simply how important marriage is, and how you have designed it from the very beginning. And to help these teens understand that in the midst of the culture that they're in is just so important. So again, Lord, we just can't stop asking you just for the wisdom and the words to speak. That also we ask that the teens will be receptive to hearing the words of wisdom that their parents give them, that I may give them, that their friends may give them. And we just pray that they will take these things to heart, and that they'll look to you ultimately for the biggest amount of guidance, and work to try and please you every day as they get closer and get exposed to the scene where they are looking for their future spouse. And so be with them, allow them to really just take these words and not be worried about what others may think, and that they focus on themselves right now, and really prepare to commit to be the best version of themselves, and the person that they're looking for is looking for. And we thank you most of all for Jesus, and it's his name we pray. Amen.